Good evening to everyone. Welcome to Agriculture Vidya channel. My channel name is Agriculture Vidya. I am releasing the videos related to agriculture economics course, that is principles of agricultural economics. Up to now, I released five economic videos, whereas sixth is also economics related video, that is consumer surplus. Today I will explain about consumer surplus. It is given by Marshall. It is given by Marshall 1895 in his publication Principles of Economics, whereas it is defined as nothing but the difference between what is the consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays. It is consumer surplus is difference between consumer is willing to pay and what he actually pays. Next, what are the assumptions of consumer surplus? That is, marginal utility is same or constant or does not change. Commodity does not have the substitutes. Suppose tea is substitute for coffee, whereas wheat is substitute for rice, like that. In a given point of time, no differences, no changes in the incomes, tastes, habits, preferences, fashions among the consumers. There is no differences in the incomes, tastes, habits, fashions, preferences among the consumers. Each commodity is independent. It is independent of others. That is not dependent of other commodities. Those are independent. Consumer surplus is explained with the help of table and graph. Let we will let I will explain about consumer surplus with the help of table. Whereas consumer is willing to buy jamun first unit at 1 rupee, for a second unit at 75 paise, and third unit at 50 paise, and fourth unit at 25 paise. Whereas actual market price is 25 paise. At this price, consumer will buy the 4 jamuns and he get the surplus of 1.5, 0.75 plus zero point 0.5 plus 0.25. How we will get the consumer surplus? Let we will see. How we will get the consumer surplus? Let I will explain. Whereas this is the units of jamun. At first unit, consumer willing to pay 1 rupee. That is, price willing to pay is also called as marginal utility. At second unit, he is willing to pay 0.75 paise. Sorry, 0.75 rupees or 75 paise. At third unit, he will pay 0.5 paise, 5 rupees or 50 paise. Whereas fourth unit, he will pay 0.25 rupees or 25 paise. Actual price is 0.25 rupees. Consumer surplus, that is nothing but the difference between price willing to pay and the actual price, or marginal utility minus actual price. 1 minus 0.25 is the 0.75, 0.75 minus 0.25 is the 0.5, 0.5 minus 0.25 is the 0.25. At the fourth unit consumption, you will not get any consumer surplus. There is no surplus, that is zero. Suppose total marginal utility is, that is 1 plus 0.75 plus 0.5 plus 0.25, that is 2.5. Total actual price is 0.25 plus 0.25 plus 0.25 plus 0.25, that is 1. That is 2.5 minus 1, that is 1.5. Consumer surplus is 1.5. Just before I have explained. Little I will explain, that is graphical form, whereas this is the consumer surplus graph, whereas OP is the price. At OP price, we will get the quantity demanded OQ. That is OQ is the quantity demanded. Price has, that is quantity is in x-axis and price is in y-axis. D is the demand curve. D is the demand curve. At OP price level, we will get the OQ quantity. Whereas total satisfaction is OQRA. Total satisfaction is OQRA. We will get PRA. That is consumer surplus is PRA equal to OQRA minus OQRP. That is OQRA minus OQRP. That is PRA. Consumer surplus equal to OQRA minus OQRP. That is the OP is the price. Consumer will demand OQ quantity. Finally, we will get consumer surplus PRA is OQRA minus OQRP. Next slide. Difficulties in measuring consumer surplus. Difficulties in measuring consumer surplus. Cardinal measurement is very difficult. In economics, cardinal measurement is there, ordinal measurement is there. Cardinal measurement means numbers are assigned. Suppose T is, suppose we are consuming tea, we will get 50 unit satisfaction. We are consuming coffee, we are getting 100 units of satisfaction. That means twice, twice better than twice. Twice is the, that is, sorry, utility is coffee utility is twice than the tea utility. That is cardinal measurement. Whereas ordinal measurements means this is ordering only. Numbers are not assigned. We will say just simply we will say that coffee is preferable than tea, like that. Cardinal measurement of the utility is very difficult. That means consumer will consumer will consume the first unit, he will get the 10 units of the satisfaction. For the same commodity, he is getting 5 units of the satisfaction. That the consumer surplus is or satisfaction is changing. That time difficult in cardinal measurement of the utility is very difficult, which leads to difficult to measure the consumer surplus. Marginal utility of for the same commodity. Marginal utility for the same commodity is different, whereas marginal utility changes with person to person or consumer to consumer, that is depending upon their incomes, tastes, habits, preferences, incomes, tastes, habits, preferences, etc. Existence of substance. Assumption of consumer surplus is there is no existence of substances, but it is impossible. In the real world, so many substitutes are there. It leads to difficult to measure consumer surplus. Marginal utility of the money is not constant. It changes. Marginal utility of the money is not constant. It is changing. It differs. That means suppose is money is suppose a person using more and more units of the money, his money with him is diminishes. Money with him is diminishes, but marginal utility increases rather than constant. So it leads to difficult to measure the consumer surplus. Lack of awareness of different prices. It is impossible for a consumer to aware of that entire demand schedule or to be aware of different prices for the goods or service, goods or products. That means that leads to difficult to measure the consumer surplus. Importance of consumer surplus. What is the importance of consumer surplus? Conjunctural importance, useful to monopolist, helps in public finance and taxation, helps to measure benefits from international trade. Conjunctural importance. Suppose a person's consumer surplus increases, it does not indicate his better off. It indicates the index of economic betterment. That means it does not indicate the person's better off. It indicates the index of economic betterment. Monopolist. Monopolist Monopolist's consumer surplus increases. He can freely raise the process of the good or prices of the good. He can freely raise the price for the process of the goods because without sorry without hesitating the before sales or prior sales or earlier sales or foregoing sales. He can raise the process for their of goods by increasing the his consumer surplus without any fear for earlier sales or foregoing sales. Helps in public finance and taxation. Suppose persons consumer surplus increases, he will pay more tax to government. Thereby, public finance or public revenue is increases. Tax income is also increases. Helps to measure benefits from international trade. Suppose a consumer is buying commodity in our country for more price. It is available lesser price in other countries. Then he will import. That means we are getting at lower price only by importing. That means he is getting satisfaction more. That more satisfaction is nothing but the consumer surplus. This greater consumer surplus indicates the larger benefits from international trade, increase in the benefits from international trade. I will summarize the points. I have explained about what is the definition of consumer surplus, what are the assumptions. It is explained in both, that is tabular form and graphical form, and what are the difficulties in measurement of consumer surplus, importance of consumer surplus. Thank you. If you like this video, please share and subscribe. Don't forget to comment also. Thank you.